Okay, folks, I have to do a little follow-up here on a video I just posted on electrical hazards of older tools. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to eat a little crow here. I had mentioned that back in the 30s and 40s, these old tools often did not provide an equipment ground, which this one just has a two-pronged plug, and it is the original cord. So I felt that I was grounded in saying that I was well grounded in stating that this one did not have a ground set up. Well, I was going to replace the cord, and so I took it apart, and what do I see here? A grounding conductor. There's the neutral, there's the hot back in there. Here's a grounding conductor. So, being the original cord, I had to look closer. And you can see right here, molded into the side. Oops, wrong side. Right here, molded. A ground wire came out, which has been cut off short. So it was just molded right into the cord. And then the loose grounding conductor would come out the side. And then they have stated right on the cord here, I doubt you're going to be able to read that with this camera, but it says connect ground wire before inserting plug. So they did provide a facility to properly ground a tool. Now, the reason they did it that way is because back then they just had, they did not have the grounding receptacles in these old buildings, and many electricians that have worked in older buildings can attest to that the receptacles are just hot and neutral, provided no ground. So what they expected you to do back then is to actually hook up the ground wire to the yoke of the receptacle, the metal parts of the receptacle. And of course, the problem with that is you would have to make sure that that ground path was complete all the way back to the panel, and then it would have to be bonded to the neutral at the panel, or actually at the first point of disconnect on the premises. You have to bond the ground to the neutral. That gives it a clear path to the source, so that if you do have a ground fault, it'll trip the breaker. You'll have an inrush of current all the way back to the source, which is basically the secondary coil on your transformer out on the pole. And that spike in current will trip the breaker. So even though they're giving you a facility to hook this up to the receptacle, basically the metal parts of the receptacle, we call that the yoke, you're still not necessarily safe unless there is a constant path between that receptacle all the way back to the panel and then tied to the neutral. So anyway, looks like my fix here, the cord's in fair shape, a little bit of crackling on it, but I think, I might be able to put some heat shrink on that and then just cut off the end here and put on a grounding plug on it. So that's going to be the actual fix. But yeah, so I have to eat a little crow, and I'm glad to see we've got a ground already in place on this piece of tool. I had not seen that before. I might have. It's kind of ringing a little bit of a bell where you've got a separate ground wire that you have to connect yourself. But that's how they did it back in the day to provide that safety factor. Anyway, there's my follow-up on that, and hopefully I shared some info that helped you out. Have a good day. Bye-bye.